Good morning, everybody. Something I was reading in the paper this morning that just really just ticked me off is about a 4-year-old girl from Ohio. Um, she had been real sick and basically been sick most of her life. She was diagnosed at the age of 2 with cancer. And during this 2 years, the last 2 years of her life, well, she's still alive. But she, during the last 2 years, she's gone through chemotherapy and cancer treatments, and during which time she had broke her leg, so she wasn't able to play like a normal little old girl anyway, and has spent a majority of that time in and out of the hospital. So, the Make a Wish Foundation granted her a trip to Disneyland, and Make a Wish is for terminally ill children. But given the fact now that she is in remission, her father has denied her that trip. He said no. He said give that trip to somebody that's sicker than she is. So this little girl's not going to be able to go to Disneyland unless donations are taken up, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the father has only just got back in the child's life. The parents were never married. The father's just got back in the child's life. And given the fact that the parents weren't married, there has to be 3 signatures or something on the papers to sign off on her to go to Disneyland. And I think her mother signed, her grandmother signed, but the father refuses to sign. Uh, Now he wants the trip to go to a child that's sicker than his daughter. This little girl is 4 years old, and for the last 2 years of her life has had a broken leg, which I'm 53 and I've never had a broken bone. This child had one while she had cancer, while she was undergoing cancer treatments and chemo, and while she was spending most of her time in the hospital. So she spent over half of her life being sick, sicker than most of us will ever be. But her father don't want her to go. And anybody that's had cancer or knows anybody that's gone through cancer knows that remission is just that. Remission is not that you're cured. Remission means that you're in remission. There are no cancer cells detectable, but you cannot be considered cancer free until 5 years after you've gone into remission. So she will be really 9 years old before you can consider her cancer free. Her cancer could come back during that time. I don't see why her father wouldn't sign off on her to go to Disneyland. She was supposed to have gone a couple of times while she was sick, but it kept being postponed because she was so sick. And now she finally got a chance to go, and he says no. This is what he wants to happen. I could see it if they had a boatload of money and they was going to pay the way, himself. But that's not the case. He wants donations to be taken up to send his little girl to Disneyland. And if you've noticed over the past several months how anytime anything happens, well, look at George Zimmerman. Look at all the donations that went online for him. Look at the bus monitor. She got almost $1 million in money for vacations and stuff. And because people hear something like this and people have sympathy for it, and they give, they donate. And I believe that's this man's angle. He just got back in this child's life. He don't want her to have the free trip, but he wants donations to be made to pay for the trip. In other words, I think he's looking for people to hear about this case and to feel bad for this little girl because she has been so sick, and everybody's just going to start donating. And how much is going to go into that account? Hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even $1 million. And who's going to control that money? He will control that money. And that's not fair. If donations are made to send this little girl to Disneyland, there's going to be more than enough in that account for her and her mother to go. I say, that being the case, this account, whatever account online that is set up for her, needs to be supervised by an attorney, and the money needs to be taken out for the trip to Disneyland, and any surplus that's left over needs to be under the eye of an attorney until this girl is 18, and it needs to be under his eye, and he needs to distribute that money to the mother, not the father, to the mother for the child's medical needs or just for the child's, Christmas gifts, or to help out with the child. Because the money would basically be hers. So the money needs to be distributed for whatever she may want. I think the child should have what she wants until she is considered cancer free, because it could come back at any time in the 9 years. You just don't know. And the second time around is more difficult to fight than the first time. But I think that if this happens and the man does not get his hands on that money, then he'll probably be out of the child's life again. Greed is an ugly thing. Greed is just very ugly. So I don't even know what to say about him. According to the news, it said that he had just got his visitation rights back. So why were his visitation rights terminated in the first place? He couldn't have been a very good parent. If you're a good parent, you don't get your visitation rights terminated. So it's almost like he had his visitation rights terminated, he just got them back, and now he's got the whole say-so of everything that's going on. And that's not fair. It's not fair, and it's not right. I think that the mother signed off on it, the grandmother signed off on it. I think somebody else that had been in that child's life while he was not should be able to sign off on it. But who am I to say? That's not the law. The law says the parents. So I think that there is an exception to every rule, however. Anyway, enough about that. And it looks like it might rain here in a little bit. It got real cloudy yesterday here in Greensboro, and the temperature went from, I think, 94 down to 79 in about an hour's time. There were storms all around us, but once again, it never made it here where I'm sitting, and the next thing you know, the sun came back out and it got back up in the 90s again. I think we had that one real heavy rain on the day that we went to the X Factor on that Monday, and that's been almost 2 weeks ago, and that's been the last rain that we've had, and that was the first rain that we had in a month or so. So yeah, we need some rain. We could use some rain. Joe would get upset again because he just cut the grass yesterday and put the Roundup and everything there, but our Roundup is supposed to be good after 2 hours. So hopefully, if it does start raining, it's not going to hurt anything. But anyway, what do you think about this little girl in remission from cancer not being able to go to Disneyland? It's just, it's so sad. It's ridiculous. And if nothing else, maybe she's not terminal. Maybe she's not considered terminal right now. But look at everything she has been through in her life. And basically, the Make-A-Wish Foundation is able to do all of these things through donations. It's the same thing. He's just being greedy. He's been very greedy. Anyway, what do you think about it? Will you be donating? And what do you think should be, how do you think the funds should be appropriated? And until next time, bye-bye.